I realized something was very wrong with my game. It worked, but it felt completely empty. It is a pet game, so it's supposed to be cozy. But when you compare it to games like Animal Crossing, everything there has personality. Not really because they're bigger, but because they let players make things their own. Because if you want to make something feel like home, you have to decorate it. So I decided to fix that by adding customization. I decided to start with 3 types of decorations: flowers, flags, and floor decorations, which in this case, I think I'm only gonna make rugs. I think that's good enough for the first release. So first, I'm gonna start with flowers. Flowers are a very easy way to decorate a very small space, and there are so many options and colors you can choose from. In this game, these are more like forever flowers, right? Like those fake ones, so you don't have to keep watering the plants to keep them alive. Okay, so I just searched what forever flowers are, and apparently they don't last forever. They last for a few months, so they are not really forever, and they are real flowers, so I don't know why they just don't sell plastic ones. I guess if you want to be good to the environment, but I don't think the chemicals they add to the forever flowers are that good for the environment, right? Anyway, this pack will include 8 flowers. Why 8? Because the way I have the UI for the store has rows of 4. I originally wanted to do 7 because 7 is a cooler number, but 8 will fit way better here. So we're gonna come up with 8 flowers. I'm thinking about adding chrysanthemums because the name is very long. So if the name doesn't fit, I know the rest of the flowers won't fit in the menu, so that's a good way to start, I think. Roses are classic, right? So they have to be included in the game. What else? Sunflowers. Hibiscus is a very photogenic flower, so I think I will include them just because they look very good. Cactus. There are a lot of cactus lovers out there. Cacti are technically like forever flowers. You think about it, they are natural and they die in a few months if you don't take care of them. They're basically the same, right? I don't really know any other flowers, to be honest. We can include violets because roses are red, violets are blue, right? So they exist. Lilacs and daisies are also flowers that I know exist because I've heard the name before. So I'm gonna add them. And like this whole list seems like a very basic flower pack, right? Like you got the basic, normal, generic flowers. And I think maybe in the future I can do way more research and maybe do packs like the birth flowers. I think that exists. Like your flower if you were born in a certain month. I could also add like national flowers or seasonal packs, right? So like summer flowers or winter flowers, stuff like that. But I think I'm pretty happy with this list. And now it's time to draw them up. Okay, so after looking for some references online for the violets, I learned that violets are very, very small and simple. I don't think serious people out there are making whole bouquets of them. I think they are more like a throwaway flower, like those they include in the bouquet to make them pretty. Like not throwaway. I don't want to offend anyone that really likes violet, but I don't know. They look very weak, and I don't know if they survive that long. Just a bouquet of them. Again, I'm not a flower expert, but I think I'm gonna include tulips instead. And lilacs and daisies are also very small, but I think they stand out a bit better than violets. So yeah, I'm sorry, violets. Okay, so I think everything is looking pretty good right now. Every single one of these plants is just gonna lay on the floor. I don't know if glass vases really do that, or they get scratchy and they break easily, but I don't know if I should take more time to design some small tables for the flowers to lay on. Anyway, this is kind of how the build menu is going to look like with these temporary sprites. So flowers can only be placed in these corners. I really don't know how to call them right now. Like ground stuff, but I also want to put rugs later, and rugs are definitely ground stuff. So maybe, I don't know, the rest of them are not gonna be available to place when selecting flowers. So it's gonna look something like this when you place the cactus, for example, and if you place it in the other part of the room, it's gonna mirror, so it can look a bit symmetrical. I don't think mirroring is going to work that well when we go to flags, right? The order is going to change when we mirror them, so I will have to draw 2 versions of the flags for each flag, right? So it looks good on the wall. So right now I'm gonna work on placing the flowers in game to see how it looks before we move on to the flags. So I think the flowers look a bit too big, but I think it does fill up the room with personality. Still, things that are not flowers are gonna go on the same slots over here, so I think it's a good size for any object that may go here. Now it's time to work on the flags. So I was not gonna do every single flag of each political entity around the world, recognized or not, but I had to start somewhere, right? So I got inspired by what I actually have in my room, which are flags from Central America, because that's where I live. Without giving too much information on where I live specifically, I'm just gonna do every single flag from each country in Central America and leave it at that. If you're not from Central America or don't feel any connection to any of these places, you can still pick the prettiest one and decorate your room with that. I said I was not gonna mirror the flags because that's gonna change the order, but making some of these coats of arms that are on some of these flags, most of these flags, has taken me a lot of time, and I'm not planning on doing it again. To be honest, mirroring them didn't look as strange as I thought it was gonna look. Still, I think if you're very particular about how your flags look, you can just place them on the left side of the room, and that's basically the correct way. I don't think I'll ever gonna fix this, because with that time I can just create a brand new flag from other parts of the world. But yeah, we'll see how this turns out. Another type of flag I have around my room are pride flags. I decided to just do 7 because I did 7 flags for the countries of Central America, so it matches, right? I'm dividing these flags into packs, so you get your Central American pack and your pride flag pack. This is because filling up the shop with a lot of different flags is just gonna make it look very busy and you're not gonna be able to find your flag. So maybe dividing them by region or theme is gonna work. For this last part, I was gonna work on the floor stuff, right? The rugs. I'm not gonna go into detail on how I did them. I just drew a bunch of different colorful squares for your room. Maybe it matches your room once I work out how the paint is gonna work in game. But yeah, I'm also gonna divide it into packs, right? So overall, you're gonna have 4 packs. This is like the starter packs for the game. So you have your basic flower packs, your basic rug pack, your Central American flag pack, and your pride flag pack. I think that gives more than enough items to start off the game, and I'm gonna continue adding way more items in the future because just like customizing your own room, customizing this sort of space in the game is what gives where you are its own personality, and it makes it feel like home. So that was what was actually missing from my game. For the future, I'm planning on adding like types of lamps and stuff like that, but you can leave a comment if you have any suggestion. And if you have any problem with the game, you can just leave a comment here and I'll read it. So the game should be out by the time you're watching this video. Thing is that I forgot to apply for production on time. Maybe it's not out yet, I don't know. Still, I'm gonna update the description and maybe do a community post when the app is finally on the Play Store. So if you want to stay updated, subscribe, and I also post some other small game development stuff, so if you're interested, I would appreciate it. It's a very early release, by the way, so if there's any issue with it, please let me know. I'll read basically every comment, and I'll try my best to make it better. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.